Hey guys, welcome back. Good to see ya. Hope you're doing fine. Everything's going well for you. Today I'm on a field that is typically watered by my brother Tom. He's gone. He's got a daughter with, well, they went on a trip basically. Anyway, so he put me in charge of his field, so I better do this right. And I'm hoping I remember the instructions that he gave me, but no, this is a different field, which I'm kind of glad I get to show you because I'm usually filming from the same fields and I feel like that gets a little redundant. But so we're back here on a gravity irrigated field. I just got to change some gates. What I showed you earlier, this one has a surge valve, so I'll set this side and then go flip the surge valve, which cycles water in a flip valve area, and it'll set it over there. This is set on a 24-hour set. So after I do this, I should have to only come back here in the next 24 hours, which is kind of the beauty of having a surge valve. And I've kind of gone over that past years. It's just for those of you new to the channel. Also, this corn back here is looking fairly decent. This did have some hail early, but it's kind of come out of it. It's not as affected as like the others. It's even, and some corn is more, will do this more than others, but you can kind of see the tops are starting to get like a little spike to them, and that's kind of a sign that here shortly, probably in the next week and a half or so, this stuff might be tasseling. It's probably as tall as, maybe not quite as, yeah, it's probably as tall as me now. So yeah, we got that to look forward to. Probably a little bit behind schedule of what we were last year. I wouldn't say we're far behind. It's just some of this, I should say the stuff that is, most of our stuff is, probably slightly behind average just because of all the stuff we've had to deal with. And we'll kind of take a crop tour hopefully later here in the video. I kind of show you some of the stuff that we had to replant. A few requests for that. Yeah, there's a lot of pockets in Nebraska that have gotten stripped up pretty good. I've been hearing a lot of people, like my father-in-law came back, he said, kind of that Seward to York range in Nebraska got hammered pretty hard. So yeah, there's definitely pockets where corn is sporadic, and there's also pockets of good looking corn. This looks pretty good here. We got some stuff that's shorter. We got some that's a little bit taller, probably be tasseling late next week, maybe just depends on weather. So yeah, I'll stop talking here and we'll get this set. Instructions were east of the flip valve on this east side is I need to open 30 gates, and then I can close that, which were the gates we were looking at, we're running at. So I'm going to go along here. This has been irrigated once before. It's just where we're getting close to tasseling. We want to have a good profile going into it of water, because when you're in peak use during tasseling and right after tasseling a few weeks, this corn can take quite a bit of moisture, and so to hopefully help it keep its optimal yield, we're gonna make sure we do our best to just make sure our profile is as full as it can be. That way it's easier to maintain. How many was that? I think that's 3. These are kind of angle rows. It's hard to videotape and count at the same time. All right, open 30. Go shut that valve. Switch the surge valve to the other side so I can set that, and then this should be good. Check the dripper oiler on the well and make sure all the fluid levels are, make sure the motor's doing okay. Let's give that a little more pressure. So what those flip valves are good for is, instead of letting that water continue down around the curve, it allows the pressure to be able to build up from there and help us out over here. Also, I don't have to shut off those gates down there. Quick since we're right next to the well, but this is the surge valve, flipping it over to the other side. I'll explain a little more later where it's a little quieter. We'll just go over this for fun. Really, all I have to do here is flip these flip valves around on this T. As you can see, this one's joined together, custom made. He already has a set going this way, so we don't have to change any gates until tomorrow. So we'll drive down to make sure they're doing okay. While we're waiting for the water to show up, I'll kind of explain the surge valve for those of you new to the channel. What a surge valve does, instead of just flipping it over once, the reason why it's kind of called the surge is it's set to go back and forth between the sides of it. So it'll be set to go on this side for maybe 40 minutes, the other side 40 minutes, and then it gradually gets longer. It'll go to maybe 50 minutes, and then it gets longer throughout the time period, depending on whatever you have it set on. It could be an hour and a half. So the idea is it gets it further out there, and you're surging it back and forth, and ideally that gets your roast through a little bit better and soaks maybe a little better, something like that. The thing I like about it is you can set it for a 24-hour set, and not worry about having to come back here in 12 hours. You can set it so you're not having to come back here in the evening and reset the whole thing. It's kind of my biggest reason, but it also just makes you a little more efficient that way, because you can spend a lot of time per acre on a gravity field versus like a pivot. That's kind of the difference. Gravity is a little more labor intensive, but there's a little few tools like those surge valves that can kind of make you just a little bit more efficient. Hope here it comes. But while we're waiting for this to pressure up, I'd like to mention my sponsor, UMC. It's irrigation season, so if you guys are needing gearboxes, center drives, U-joint couplers, check them out. There's a link below that'll take you to the website. They'll get you, hopefully that'll help you find your local dealer and get you some quality parts. Check it out. So we'll be going through pivots. When it's not if they break down, it's when they break down. So we always try to keep a supply on hand so we're not down very long. If it's something like a gearbox or center drive that I can kind of fix, I'm not an expert by any means on that stuff, but I can kind of fix those things down below. Now when you start getting above in the tower boxes and all the wiring, that's when I tend to call the experts a little bit more. Sometimes I can replace a micro switch and get myself in trouble. But yeah, all the stuff below, it's usually straightforward, especially like gearboxes, U-joints and center drive stuff that UMC really handles well. Does a good job engineered here in the US. Just check them out. There's checking the water, making sure the end plug's still in, no major leaks, everything's working right. Looks good to me. What about you guys? I say we get out of here, and now I'm going to go check my pivots. I don't have any gravity running on mine. Next week I'll start mine up. I've already been over it once, but it's just this one takes a little bit more juice. Every field's different. I don't know if this mic picks it up, but you can hear all the clumping going on under the fender wells from the mud flaking off. And how long do you guys kind of drive slow until it kind of wears off? Or do you just give her heck? I give it a little bit, but then after a while, I kind of get it. Yep, it's still there. I'm speeding up again. I should have just drove my four-wheeler from the gravel road back there is what I should have done, but now I know. Out here checking well drippers, doing my daily checkup. It's usually out here where I get coated with mud and make my wife happy when I come back for lunchtime. Sure why she's mad at me. I'm just kidding. She usually tolerates me fairly well. I guess while I'm thinking about it, I got a code on my four-wheeler if anybody wants to look up for me. Maybe I held down on mode. There we go. Maybe I'll actually remember to see what it is. Runs fine, so who knows. Thank you. Let's go to the next pivot. To kind of show you guys a little bit of our crop tour of the range of crops we got. This is some of probably our better looking stuff, and it's probably getting to almost be maybe not quite 7 foot tall, but I mean it's definitely taller than me. It's 6, so I mean this stuff will be tasseling here maybe next week, late next week sometime, so we'll see. But this stuff was planted. This is actually probably, no, let me think. This is some of our earlier planted stuff here that we planted when it was hard out. You know, if you remember, it was really dry. We've had a slew of things. We're going back over the things the other day of what this spring has brought. And it's been an impressive year, but you know, you just got to keep chugging along. And sometimes you'll make lemonade out of lemons, sometimes. But just to kind of give you a nice starting point of where things could be, and then we'll show you here coming up, you know, where that replant was that we did in June 15th or something like that. Just kind of watching how it's doing going up that hill. Should be good. Back out to the pivot where we put these strainers on, these filters for the first, well, I can't remember how many towers we put them on. I think it's at least 6 or 7 towers. This is that big long one. But it's been really doing well, good job. Actually, I haven't had to clean any of them out yet of straining out that, you know, effluent buildup and rust, you know, little rust particles and stuff. So far it's doing a good job. I've actually ordered a few more just to keep going further. The idea was these smaller nozzles at the beginning, you know, they're going to be the first ones to plug up, but every once in a while down the line you'll still get another one that gets kind of a chunk in it. So I ordered some more, and yeah, if you're looking for something, I'll have like 3 different kinds on here, but these first ones are cylinder. It's all in the regulator, and then the next ones were just easier. I think they were Aqua Drop or something I got from Central Valley Irrigation, and they just went right in line there, and they're just little strainers that went up into the just check the last video. I think I have them in there. So Make it simpler for all of us. And you'll see what I mean. Because I'm not going to go out there now and pull that out because that'll get... I don't need my cool down quite yet. That's not very handy. Call this good. So, right here is what we left, like for the strips for insurance, and this is what we replanted. So to kind of lay this out, if you're just joining us here, we had some hail come through that decimated this field early on, and so we made the choice around it was June 15th is when we replanted this field. And so we came back, but when you do that, you kind of got to leave some strips, check strips, to see how you're doing. And hopefully I can find a picture here of what it looked like. So I'm going to show you what this field looked like here, kind of the end of May, it'd been like early June. And so yeah, it looked pretty much wiped out. And to see what was coming back, we just decided to replant it. And so right now we're looking at the replant being on June 15th. It's about knee high today, and it's the 8th. So we almost made knee high by the 4th of July. I don't know. But some of this, it's got most of it germinated all right. We got some pockets, and it's always right by the highway. Right there's a blacktop, and there was just dry pockets in the field. When I was planting this, it was actually wet, but then I've never planted in June before. It got hot and dry and windy. It dried it out, and we got some stuff that it just didn't germinate right. And I don't know if going right over that old row may have done something with it, but you can see we got some rain here in Sumner, which was a weird rain. We had 2 mornings ago, we had like 1.40 inches in the town of Sumner, but it was just kind of local. So this field caught some of that. I think this got about 50 hundredths of it. And just to give you an idea, Sumner's kind of where those trees are over there, and that's like maybe a mile, we'll call it a mile and a half away. So we had some gaps like this, and now I think that rain is causing this to germinate, some of this stuff. So this is going to be an interesting field to look at for sure. But over here is what we left, and I'm kind of impressed. I don't know about you guys, but it doesn't look pretty at all. I'm not saying we should have done this, because I think we did the best we could with what we knew. But looking at it now, even though it's uneven, it'll be interesting to see what these will do, to see how many years they'll put on. Because the problem sometimes is deciding on this uneven corn is how well it's going to pollinate and produce an ear. Like, will these smaller ones do as well as these bigger ones? So there's still a lot of questions to go on this. I mean, it looks better from maybe the road, even though this stuff's a little more even. I don't know. But the concern about this is being on a gravity field. It hasn't received any rain after planting until now, and it got 50 hundredths. So luckily it came up as high as it did. And also we're glad we got a little more rain to get this maybe bumped up a little higher, so when we come through and ridge it to lay the pipe out and irrigate it, that it gets a little more height, a little easier to do that. But when we vertical tilt it, you can see there's a few clumps out there of remaining corn, and that's the stuff that the vertical till didn't clear out. But that was basically the best tool we had to clear that out. We don't have we have a disc, but it's not very good. It's more of a terrace tool and to do ends. That's kind of what we do with it now. So yeah, this is an interesting field to see what it do. We do have a 3/4 of a pivot that we planted at the same time. It came up a lot better because obviously we have a pivot to get it going. And it's about probably the same. I haven't been up there lately this week, but assuming the height's about the same, and it's a 99 day. This stuff right here, I think, is a 103 day. This is the longest season we put out here. And there was a number, I think it ain't too far away. It was an 89 day corn is what we found. We only found like 4 or 5 bags of it. And then the stuff over there, I think we found a 90, No, it was 100-day. Is on the very east side. But this stuff actually looked like it germinated better. Like, yeah, this is 89-day corn and it's a lot more even. So it must have a better germination or dry germination. I don't know what you'd call that. But yeah, this 103-day. And plus, there was another thing. When I planted this, I made a mistake and one row was a little bit shallower after we looked at it. I don't know how it happened. I think it was this row right here, and it's starting to sprout them. Good heavens. Good heavens. So yeah, this will definitely be a more so trial, interesting thing to see what corn can do planted late. And I know a lot of guys in Nebraska are kind of facing this same thing, especially with late planted replant. You know, some of our bean fields we've planted 3 times. This stuff has been replanted. So yeah, definitely be an interesting year here in Nebraska to see what you know, late season planting stuff can do. So there's the update on that stuff there. Hey guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up for this video. I think I got enough here to throw one together for you. I appreciate you watching. I don't want to give you all my knowledge in one video anyway, because you guys will realize it's only a 2-minute video. Even then, it'll just be me mumbling. Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate it, and we'll catch you on the next one. Later.